I want you to take a look at that red sentence and kind of internalize that. Know that that's kind of our mission here, is to work together on common problems of practice, kind of understand what's going on out in the field, and to meet the needs of the field, do these things together. I hope you'll find some buddies here that you can do that with as well. So, to be successful in these meetings, you might want to know, hey, where do I get all this stuff we're talking about? And luckily, we have a web space for you that I will show you about right now. I'm going to type in the chat a secret password. So please write this down, save it in your computer, or just ask me about it again later. But the password to get into the meeting, or to our meeting space, I'll show you in a second, is all one word, and it's all lowercase, and it is just network member. And that's in the chat right there. Take note of that. You're going to need that in a second. But if you want to follow me over to the website by either clicking this link or using the QR code here, give you 1 second to do that. It brings you to our website, and this is really the lifeblood of our organization. This is how you can get in contact with us. This is how you can see everything we're doing and all the resources that we share and talk about all the time. And where you're going to go specifically for this network, hopefully is easy to remember, because you click on the networks tab here. So networks tab for the networks at the top of the page. And then here we're right at the top because we're pretty cool. It might also be in alphabetical order or something, but we're going to stick with the cool part. And you click on here to learn more, and you will get a password page. Mine accidentally bypassed the password. I already put it in this morning, but in this step is where you put in that network partner thing when prompted. And this is where you're going to find all of our resources for the entire year. And when I say all the resources, I mean before the meeting, after the meeting, things we talk about in the meeting. So for instance, we have at the top of the page here kind of our dates for the year that you all should have been invited to via Outlook. So if you don't have those, please let us know and we'll make sure that's there so it's saved on your calendar. I also have a link to my calendar. One thing that the new members will kind of discuss today, but you know, some of our veteran members are already aware of, is that one of our charges in this work is to provide you with direct consultation in this family engagement space. So if there are problems coming up that you could just use a thought partner on, there are opportunities to, you know, present together or give feedback on something you're going to present. Things like that, you can make a meeting with us anytime and we will show up for sure. And not only will we show up, I will use my great network of colleagues here to kind of try to bring the right people to the table who can meet your specific needs, given kind of your situation. And you can do that, of course, by either following this link, and that will directly allow you to make an appointment on my calendar, or you can email me anytime and I'd be happy to set it up as well. We also have some information here about alternate assessment that comes up a lot. So that's just the information from the Department of Education's website that many of you are probably familiar with, but if you ever need a quick reference, there it is. We'll also add things here throughout the year that seem important to people. But if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll find our meeting resources for the day. And so here you'll see that we have a slide deck that we'll be going over. We're going to be talking about our logic model a little bit later. We're going to be looking at a slide deck in a small group activity of our district family engagement survey. So you'll access this here. And then you'll also be able to access our annual network survey responses from last year that you all participated on to see you know, what people said about the network and where we might head next. We'll be looking at that together a little bit today. The last thing I wanted to point out to you is I've already talked with several of you about your regional reports for the district leader survey that Meredith here so kindly and expertly put together for us. So those are all here if you lose them. That simple. So if you need your report here, use the password, log in, and it's here if you need it. Last thing I want to point out on this webpage is that we don't throw away anything. We have archives to the last 5 years of this network. So if you have been here for a while, or you hear someone talking about something that you might not be privy to, you can always go back and scan these archive links for the resources we've gone over, and maybe the majority of these will also have recordings attached to them that you might be able to review some type of activity or something. So we got to here, it's kind of just a copy of the old page, and you'll find all the cool resources that we talked about last time, some articles we might have read together, things like that. So feel free to check that out if you're looking for a kind of like historical arc of what we've talked about, and or looking for something that you need that was there at one time. I'll pause here just for a second because this is such an important part of how you'll access things for the network. Just wondering if people either have questions or concerns about anything relative to this webpage. Cool. That is all good. Just know that this is here for you to access stuff. And if you ever want me to add something for the upcoming meeting that you'd like to discuss or anything, you just gotta let me know ahead of time. I can get that up there in just a minute or so. So thank you for following me here. So we're going to get warmed up here today. I want to welcome everyone here. And I hope that in the chat, you could take a minute. We're going to take about a minute here to think. And I hope that you can share something that you really value about family school partnerships, or, something in your work that you bring to family school partnerships. Why are you here and how's it inspiring to you? If you could now just take a minute, no rush, to throw that in the chat box, and we'll see kind of what people come up with. And while that's happening, we'll invite some of our new members to introduce themselves. I've written down a list of the new members based on amendments that directors have offered for the contact list. So if I call your name and you're here, I hope that you'll be able to give us maybe just a quick background, where you came from, how many years you've been with the SST or so, and kind of what your focus will be in your region this year. And also, if I miss someone who is new, feel free to raise your hand and I will make sure to get you in the introductions too. But I am first wondering, Krista Dickens, if you would give a little introduction to us. I think a lot of us know who you are, but maybe you are not coming to the network all the time. So I'm wondering if you'd like to introduce yourself to the fine people here.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Krista Dickens. I was part of P4L, but I'm back to being part of the family engagement. I am arm in arm with Trisha McCollum this year, but then she's gonna let go and I'll jump on. I was just rating I've been with the SST, I think 10 years. I'm mostly early childhood, and PBIS and family engagement just makes complete sense to me because of that work and all the other connections. I was writing in the chat that professionally, I just said why it's important, but personally, I'm a grandma of a 5-year-old that's just starting kindergarten and an auntie of a junior. And I notice and I appreciate how schools have reached out to both my family in those regards. So personally and professionally, this has a special place in my heart and in the work that I feel like needs to be done. So I'm grateful I get to be part of this work again and learning from all of you. So thanks.
Thank you so much for taking the time to introduce yourself. And as someone said in the chat, you're new, but not really new. So we're looking forward to learning from all of your experience as well. So thanks for being here. Wondering if Rochelle Smith is here and would like to introduce themselves.
Yes, that's me. Hi, I'm Rochelle Smith. I am new to SST 11. I will be focusing on continuous improvement and some special ed and family engagement. So I'm excited to be here and to learn from everyone.
Absolutely, and we're happy to have you joining from SST 11, one of the largest contingents of people who attend the FCE network. So happy to have you be here. You are being rivaled by SST 5 now. They are also sending a lot of people. So I don't know if you guys are that competitive, but just something to note there. Thanks for being here. One more person who I think is in attendance today and new is Sarah Coleman. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Sarah Coleman, and I am part of State Support Team 15. I've been here for about a month. And before that, I was a middle school principal for 5 years and was part of the family engagement program before then. As part of SST 15, I'll be doing PBIS, family engagement, and some math initiatives as they roll out.
Well, thanks so much for sharing about yourself. And we have some other former administrators here who I'm sure you'll be happy to talk the talk with. And we'll be happy to learning about your work as you get into it in Region 15 as well. So welcome. We do have 3 other new members, but 2 of them, as I mentioned, are from SST 5's large delegation, and they're having a retreat today, so they're not willing or not able, sorry, they are willing, not able to be with us. So we'll be meeting some of them in the future. Also, I just want to take a moment to really thank you all for contributing to the question on here while we went over that. We got some like really serious answers here and thoughtful answers. So some of them are really outcomes focused, which is really important. And that is why we're so committed to this work. I hear a lot of you talking about continuous improvement. We at this center believe that family engagement is a core continuous improvement strategy for school districts, and that it does not run outside of that work. So we're happy to see some of that. I hear some things in here about empowering families and uplifting all voices. You know, families and communities are just as much part of a child's education experience as the school is. So being able to bring those things together is a really important endeavor that many of us are taking on. And also, you know, another thing I just wanted to mention is, you know, about trust here. And, you know, Barry threw in here about building trusting relationships. And something I always like to just remind people is that, you know, trust doesn't just sound nice and isn't just a thing that, you know, makes us feel warm and fuzzy, but it's something that school leaders and can practice, and they can put their educators and other staff in situations that are trust building. So thinking really hard about how we do that and how we develop that trust with families so that we're on the same page and moving in the same direction is really important. Got a lot of cool animations in here, so watch out. Up here's the schedule. You guys all got this, and like I said, hopefully you all got Outlook invitations. I want to make sure it's held on your calendar and you have all the links and stuff. So if you don't see those, please let me know. And also apologies for like that 1 week where you got 7,000 invitations to all the meetings. So sorry about that, but it had to be done. Couple of things I want to point out to you really quickly about the schedule is two main things that based on the survey data from last year, a lot of people enjoyed the in-person meeting, and there was actually a call to see if we could do it just one more time there. So we are going to host 2 in-person meetings this year and see how that goes. The first one is going to be in this semester, is going to be the next meeting, which is October 17th. It's about 6 weeks away. For those of you who are in the Ohio Network Partnership Schools project, we do know that there's an event that kind of bumps up to this in the afternoon, and we're going to make space available for you all to potentially do that meeting here if you'd like to. So I know that that was a concern for some of you and a rightful one. So we're going to work together to make sure that you have everything you need to be successful and happy in that moment. So we'll keep talking about that. And then March 6th again, so that March date again will be around here. Hopefully we can avoid snow and storms and all those things.
Hey Tom,
Yeah,
could you remind me where is the in-person meeting going to take place? You might have
Yeah.
said, but I missed it.
no, that's totally a great question. Because while we're Ohio State University is a big place, so where is it? It's at it just went in the chat. It's at 1900 Kenny Road in Columbus, Ohio, and that building is called the Center on Education and Training for Employment. So hopefully that address will get you in this.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I know where that is. I'll try to come.
Thank you. We love it. Okay, so where are we headed this year? This is actually a slide from last year. This is what we kicked off the meeting with last year. Areas in need of support that you all had identified. And based on our year-end survey last year, we actually felt pretty good that we're able to help build knowledge and skills about effective family engagement in education. And so there was some reported growth in that area for us. And then also about other forms of outreach and communication. This is not to say we're not going to work on these things. These will always be important foundational aspects of our work. But of course, with so many things going on, we got to make some prioritizations. And one thing I might consider prioritizing this year is continuing this work of integrating all of your work and all of your initiatives like through this network, and making sure that we're not creating some sense of knowledge or understanding here that is not broadly applicable to all of the work that you are doing. And we're going to continue to do that this year because y'all said so. What you're looking at up here is a question from the year-end survey last year that many of you took that asked you to pick 2 or 3 areas in need of more support last year. As you can see, 2 are really, really pressing relative to the others. And one is this integration thing. Again, so continuing to work with you all to integrate your work in a way that allows our family engagement knowledge and skills and resources here to be really rich and useful across PBIS, across early learning, across literacy, whatever your other thing is that you're working on. And of course, always continuous improvement. But the other thing that came up is building our staff's knowledge and skills about using data to drive equity. So this is not unique either. We have gotten a couple of requests recently about data and how we capture data, how do we measure certain outcomes for family engagement, how does that work in a building leadership team, how do we fit this into ongoing processes? So those are some questions that I think can come up this year and hopefully will be useful to you in coaching exercises and such. Looking at this list, we kind of created this list based on some goals that we have for you all. I'm wondering if there are other things coming up for people as they see this, or other, things that they think should be a priority of the group this year. Well, that's okay. You're gonna have a lot of time to discuss this deeply, actually. So we'll really dial into what your needs are here and continue to pursue these and what comes up topically throughout the year. Because one thing I hope you can recognize in our work is that we really want to make this space useful and productive for you. So answering the problems that are coming up in your work, addressing any type of new policies or initiatives, and continuing to just expand your knowledge in this important area. So always be letting us know what's up. Some other stuff that came up last year that's more topical in the survey is stuff like attendance. That's not going to go away, right? We'll keep talking about that as necessary and as it comes up. Integrating across all SST work, we talked about that. Mental health has come up again recently. I've been talking with a lot of people about mental health and how we can support that better, both for students and adults, and bridging that gap and supporting that. This is always an important one, right? Because these populations are always evolving and changing too. So how are we engaging families of students from different backgrounds than the majority of our other families? Are there considerations there that we need to be making? And we can dive really deep into specific areas if any of those come up. Also, continuous improvement continues coming up, as well as resource sharing, and we'll definitely keep that in mind. Like I said, we'll keep adding to this list, but first, you heard me talk a lot about integration, and that's where we want to start today, gathering some of your thoughts. So we got a Mentimeter up here. And for, I think most of you are familiar, but for those of you who are not, it's just kind of like an online polling software, a collaborative space. So go ahead and either scan that QR code if you want to do it on your phone. If you want to stick on the computer, Whitney just dropped the link in the chat and you can click that. And we're just going to do 2 quick questions. The first one should be up there for you already. And you can go ahead and start answering that. Sorry about that. I'll give you the QR code back for a second. Okay, you got one person responding. Go ahead and let us know in the chat if you have trouble getting over there. Ooh, here come people. Okay, so hopefully everyone got that and drag this over here. So this question is about what other family engagement stuff are you doing? And we see all types of stuff here, right? Special education, early childhood, NNPS, establishing families. Hello, establishing families, friends. Yes, trying the life course. That's great. Just give a couple more seconds to collect this. And the reason we ask this question is because we are aware that the family engagement is super cool right now. We'd like to think that we helped make it very cool. But that being said, we know that there's a lot of different attention to certain initiatives, and we want to be able to speak as broadly as we can without confusing people. So we just want to take stock of kind of the things you're working on there. Gonna just give about 10 more seconds before I move this slide to just one more question. I think some of you might have captured this on this slide already. Yeah, so some of you jotted this down already because it's not so clear, right? We believe family engagement runs through everything, but if you have distinct kind of responsibilities outside of being the family engagement consultant, like I said, saw some people PBI as consultants or childhood consultants, continuous improvement. If you could just drop that in here for us too, because that'll give us a sense of kind of the boundaries of your role and help us dial in kind of some of our conversation as well. Community schools, yes. We're talking about that all summer. Math, that's fun. Love math. Data literacy. Maybe this person will have to give us some education on data literacy for family engagement. Step up the quality. Good job. Cool. DEI plus B. Not to put anyone on the spot, but just asking for my own understanding. What's the B? What does B stand for here?
Stands
not
for
sure how to put
belonging. It's belonging.
Thank you
Diversity,
very much.
equity, inclusion, belonging.
Love belonging.
Mhm.
Belonging's beyond inclusion. Cool. Love that. Okay, well, thank you for sharing this with us. And also, I hope that some of you are taking note here just to know that other people are balancing a lot on their plates, and you might be able to learn or partner on certain things going on here. So we'll continue these conversations, and these kind of other roles will come out throughout the year too, right? Because family engagement cannot be contained in one family engagement space. It will run all through this, and we'll hear all those perspectives. So thanks for playing along. We now are going to dig into some data as we've been talking about, and you're finally getting a break from me chatting here as well in just a moment. But some of you might know that every year almost we do a district leader survey around family engagement practice and kind of the support that they might need to improve that practice. And it's really awesome resource. This is one of the only surveys of its kind that exist. I'm like pretty sure it's like the only one like this. So it's really impressive and important piece of information for us. And I would love not just to tell you about it, but have you kind of draw out your own conclusions from the data that you're seeing. So that's kind of the activity we're going to participate in today. Before we jump into some data analysis, just wanted to let you know that this survey got responses from about 38% of districts, which is pretty decent for a full statewide survey. And these are who kind of was responding to the survey here. Over half are superintendents, and then we have some directors of stuff and assistant superintendents, along with other administrators. But as you see here, the lion's share is superintendents responding. So that might give you some context for how the answers are playing out in some ways. But here's how we're going to do this. We're going to go get the PowerPoint right on our network webpage. And I hope that you can navigate there after Whitney's wonderful instructions. And we'll get that link in the chat too there. There is a link to download a PowerPoint that has a series of slides with the results in them. Obviously, you're not gonna get to every single thing in the next like 20 minutes or so. But what I would like for you to do is take 5 minutes and quietly or independently, I should say, go through the PowerPoint. See what sticks out to you. There might be some areas you're more interested in than others. That's totally cool. Zone in on that and let us know what you see in there. After about 5 minutes, I'll give kind of a signal to come back, and we'll have about 10 minutes in groups of 4 to just quickly share some observations. So please bring at least one observation from the data to that group, and we'll share out and kind of collect some of them. I see some questions in the chat that I can certainly address, and I'm wondering if there are other questions based on the activity, how to get the stuff, that I could answer before I set us free on some study time. Okie dokie. So welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you had some nice, thoughtful conversations or compelling ones. We're gonna pause right here just for a second, to share out maybe 3 to 5 kind of things that came up in the conversations. I'm wondering if anyone would like to get us kicked off here, talking about what they discussed in their group.
I can, Tom.
Thank you.
We'll get this here. Okay. We looked over the stuff and there was a lot of reoccurring themes, and none of it was incredibly surprising. We talked about how family engagement is a part of absolutely everything, but it's never seen as the main thing. They're few and far between when it comes to district goals or building goals. And we also talked about it's challenging for schools and districts to really have one person or one team dedicated to just family and community engagement. It's a hard sell, but I think the light at the end of the tunnel, and Tammy brought this up, which I really liked. I was in a group with the Christas and Tammy, so I was in a great group. With the big focus on attendance everywhere, you cannot do attendance or MTSS supports for attendance without this family and community engagement. I think now more than ever, this is a big movement that's going to happen, and I think it's an unfortunate circumstance that might yield great results within the family and community engagement realm.
Thanks, Josh. And that's really well said. And it sounds like you had a good group. I think, we're also not super necessarily surprised by what we saw, but also, know that that doesn't mean there's not a lot of work to do. And I think part of the work of continuous improvement is understanding staffing and approaches to capacity and things like that. So being able to leverage some of these high profile instances, whether it be chronic absenteeism or other goals for the school, as leverage points for, how are we staffing things? How are we organizing meetings? How are we looking at data? There's a really great point there. How do we make this mean something to someone? Other observations from the data?
Tom, this is Jennifer Jones from 13. Our group talked a lot about not really limiting your thoughts to who does family engagement. It was interesting who people perceive as their family engagement expert or specialist in their district. It was a wide range.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, if we're going to say like this runs through everything, then it must be kind of professionally developed in everybody as they're doing everything. And so, maybe someone's in charge, but who does family engagement? It's probably an all hands on deck affair.
Tom, I was in Jennifer's group, and the other thing that came up, the data that showed that over half of those surveyed had a formal, like a plan. And what we'd heard from districts, and Jennifer said this too, is that a lot of them weren't looking for one more plan, one more thing to add on. And so I think it goes back to your statement about how we're integrating this into other work rather than add one more thing onto somebody. So particularly, and we talked about, we're working with a lot of community schools who don't really have big staffs, and you were nice enough to come out to present to some of ours. But just how do you integrate that into their one plan or the other improvement goals that they have? And I think that's kind of one of the things we talked about.
That's a great point. Great point. And I think, that's where, Whitney's other role kind of comes in here as supporting the Ohio Network of Partnership Schools, the National Network of Partnership Schools model. Like, that is the approach, right? They do make you focus on family engagement, but it's directly tied to something you are trying to improve in your school, and helping school leaders kind of see that means you do have a family engagement plan if you have a strategy for sharing this with families and such as well. So great points there. Let's take at least one or two more because this is important.
So we gotta echo. So we focus on the slide that talked about professional development. I noticed that about 50% of the administrators, and I think principals, maybe teachers and administrators, had professional development, but even lower for front office staff, who are generally on the front line of interacting with families and communities, and can really have the ability to impact the climate and culture of a school. So just thinking about how important it is to include everyone in the school community in any professional development related to family engagement.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm sure that's a challenging situation for schools, right? We talk about this all the time. How do you balance classified, non-classified staff? How do you make time for non-classified staff to do learning kind of during their day, to try to avoid any type of contract issues and stuff? But to your point, this is who welcomes people to the school. We got to find a way to make sure we're on the same page. So I think you just identify other things to keep going. So I'm going to keep on moving on right now, but we're going to come back to this often. And like I said, the web space is a place for you to kind of go and check out these things as you need them, as you need to make compelling cases to people about why family engagement is important. But keep some of this with you. Let it motivate your work for the year, and return to it as you can. Okay. Let me get this back on track here. So now we're going to do a quick pivot to meet some of our network partners who are here today. And the network, right, is grounded in supporting family school partnerships between schools and families of students with disabilities. That's at the center of our work. And we're lucky to have really excellent partners who have this at the core of their mission, who we can learn from and connect to today. So we're going to hear from some of them, and I hope that you make connections with them and in your regions throughout the year. So I know I saw Marbella here today, and I'm wondering how you are, and if you want to share some updates with the team and introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Marbella Cáceres, and I'm here today actually on behalf of Dr. Lisa Hickman. She is the executive director of the coalition, and she attends these meetings. But she actually asked me, make sure you share with the group about a couple of things. So we have lost the coalition staff stays with us for many, many years. So we have lost 4 staff members within the last year to retirement. That's a great thing, though, to retirement. And makes at the beginning sound pessimistic. No, to the retirement piece. So we actually just hired someone for the Ohio Valley office, which is the south part of Ohio. John Roglos is his last name, and he is an information specialist. He is in the onboarding process right now, which it takes several months, but he will be covering that area. And then we are hiring two additional support people for the Central Ohio area and for the Cincinnati area. Also, I want to share, and many of you probably already know, Elaine Hamilton had a promotion, and she is our new statewide program coordinator for the coalition. This year, we also going to be focusing in assisted technology, providing information. Our next newsletter is going to be focusing on assisted technology. We have tons of families, parents asking us about assisted technology. They want to understand how it works in the special education setting. So we're going to be focusing on that, creating some tip sheets for them as well. Let's see what else. We're going to be putting some trainings together for our multicultural, multilingual families, with supporting other agencies when it comes to charging the life course, for them to understand how to work with those tools in the special education process. So in the month of October, we're going to have a series on Wednesdays for families of children with special needs from 6 to 7 o'clock. So I will be sharing those flyers with you, Tom, so you can share it out. And I just want to invite you, if we can be of any support to you guys, please just reach out to us. We're here to support what you do every day to support our families and our children.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being here and making the resources of the coalition available to consultants. And I know we've been talking about really taking some time as we get into this network year to make sure people kind of know, how the coalition can step in to support you when you do get family phone calls and stuff, and when you might pass things on and things like that. So we'll continue this conversation, and just appreciate y'all being here. So we also are lucky to have announcements from the Ohio Parent Mentor Project today. So I'm wondering if Dr. Johnson is here.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I had to double check and make sure it's still morning time. It's good to be here. I am so happy to bring some updates on behalf of Ohio's Parent Mentor Project. I'm hoping this isn't the first time that you've heard of us, but if it is, that is perfectly okay. I'm going to drop our website link in the chat. And you can go ahead and explore there. I would really encourage you, again, if this is your first time of hearing about Ohio's Parent Mentor Project, to click that link and head over to where it says Find a Parent Mentor. And if you type in your district or the areas that you serve, you'll be able to find your parent mentor or possibly parent mentors who serve your area. And I would encourage you to make some connection there, get to know them. A lot of our parent mentors do collaborative programming with various members of SST and do all sorts of great things throughout the year. So they're always looking for those collaborative opportunities. So again, if you don't know who your parent mentor is, that is a great place to start. We also are building up our resource bank on the website. So hopefully there are a number of things on there that already benefit you all and could be helpful in your conversations, particularly with families navigating special education for the first time. But if there's anything that you see missing there or need more information about, please feel free to reach out to our email account. We monitor that daily and are always willing to offer support. We field all sorts of questions and referrals sort of can be the bridge a lot of times between some needs and some resources and organizations that we are aware of. The main thing that I want to share with you all today is that we are this year accepting proposals for our annual spring conference. So we hold our conference every spring. This year it's on Friday, April 4th, 2025. This is an in-person conference. We just brought it back in person last year and had a wonderful, phenomenal time bringing together everyone from across Ohio. So this year we are wanting to continue to expand the speakers that we bring in. We have a little bit of everyone, I would say, and we very much do welcome anyone who would want to submit a proposal for a session. There's all sorts of instructions on the application form, which I'm also dropping in the chat. So please feel free if it's something that you're interested in, or if you want to share it with a colleague or someone that you know that could be a huge benefit for parent mentors. Parent mentors are parents of children with disabilities who help and support other families navigating education in general, but a lot of times do span that specific focus with families navigating special education for the first time. So anything that you think, man, this would be great information for them to have, or we want to make sure that we communicate this with them or start to build some collaboration with parent mentors, we would love to have you submit for the spring conference this year. So we're excited. We've got a full year of programming ready and just looking forward to enhancing how this space could possibly contribute to the things that we do as parent mentors, as professional development, and getting them even better prepared to serve the districts and communities that they serve. So I am very happy to be here, and please feel free to use that email account again anytime that you need to. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you so much. And again, this is another huge resource that is part of the work of state support teams to be kind of facilitating connections for families and such sometimes. So be looking forward to finding other ways to plug in as well. Keeping things moving, saw Michelle here from O'Callie's Center for Outreach Center for Deafness and Blindness. And I want to welcome Michelle today and allow her to introduce herself and give any updates that she might have.
Hi, Tom. Can you see me?
Yes, we can. How are you?
I'm good. It's wonderful to be here. My updates will be fast, and I will plug it into the chat as I always do, because I believe that's helpful for you guys when you go through notes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So, my name is Michelle Motil Lehner, and I am the Family Support Liaison for the Outreach Center for Deafness and Blindness at O'Callie. I am deafblind myself, and I recently had a son. He is hard of hearing and visually impaired, and we're going through early intervention. And so, I have a bit of a personal connection to my work. The Outreach Center for Deafness and Blindness, we help to build the entire state of Ohio's capacity to serve families and their children who are deaf, hard of hearing, or blind, visually impaired, and the professionals who serve them. So a statewide effort. And so recently what I have to share with you guys is I wanted to let you guys all know we have a hearing assistive technology lending library program. So schools and families, they can try hearing assistive technology before buying it, which can be really beneficial because you don't want to buy the wrong thing and regret and have a bit of buyer's remorse. So this way you can try it out first. It can really help increase listening access. And then next, I wanted to bring your attention to the Outreach Center for Deafness and Blindness. We have networking meetings coming up. A deaf education networking meeting, that's in September. And kind of an equivalent for blind, visually impaired coming up in October. Anyone can join those. You don't have to be like a family member or a deaf or blind, visually impaired professionals. If you just want to come to learn more, you can do that. So anyone can come. And then I think I had one more thing. We, similar to Ohio's Coalition for the Education, just of children with disabilities, we are also job hiring. We are looking for a outreach specialist for deaf, hard of hearing. In particular, we are really interested in supporting literacy access for those unique students, particularly with the dyslexia mandate coming out and the whole science of reading and things like that. I think those are my updates. I did put that in the chat, correct, Tom? Yeah, I think I did. Thanks a lot for letting me share, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Michelle, for being here today. And of course, we love learning about the Outreach Center for Deafness and Blindness, and I'm glad that people now know who to connect with on this topic. So thanks, Michelle.
Please, yeah.
Was
It's
a
not our own-
question
Oh, question.
in the chat. It was asked to Michelle. Do people typically visit Ocala and Columbus to test out equipment, or do they usually get it mailed to them to test it out?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So you do it online. They will mail it to you. You just fill out a form, and you do have to, there are some requirements for who can loan this equipment. It has to come through a school district of some kind. But you fill out a form and it is mailed to you. So you do not have to come in person. But you could if that's what is preferred. Good question.
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Meredith, for asking it. And thanks, Sandy, for passing it along. Michelle's not our only friend from Ocala here today, though. We also have representation from the Family and Community Outreach Center. So how are you today, Gwen?
Hi, Gwen.
Hey, Michelle, it's great to follow you.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be here. Please bear with me. My allergies are kind of affecting me, and sometimes I morph into sounding like a frog. So I apologize ahead of time if that happens. I have a really quick, simple PowerPoint I wanted to share.
Sure. Yep.
Oh,
Just
it's not letting me do it. Okay.
just change that for you. You should be able now.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Can you guys see the almost all black slide that I have there?
We sure can.
Okay, well, I am the program director at Ocala with the Family and Community Outreach Center. And basically, we work to support people with disabilities and their families. And I just wanted to give a quick overview of everything we do. Michelle did such a wonderful job talking about the Outreach Center. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of all the other things that we offer. And basically, we have a vision. We work with our vision that people with disabilities have the opportunity to live their best lives. And that vision informs our mission, where we want to inspire change and promote access. And we do this by informing public policy and developing practices that are grounded in linking research to real life. Whoops. And I went too far. Hold on. So we do this through the innovative work of our multiple centers. You've already heard about the Outreach Center for Deafness and Blindness, but we have a number of centers that focus on different areas. Like, for example, the Autism Center, our flagship center that works to build the capacity of school districts and other agencies to improve the instruction and support for individuals with autism. But we also have a Center for the Young Child, which promotes a strong start for young children, generally between the ages of birth and age 8. Of course, we have the Family and Community Outreach Center, my personal favorite. I'll get into a little more detail about that in a moment. We have our Lifespan Transition Center, which works to equip communities to support the successful and unique transition of individuals with disabilities. We also have the Teaching Diverse Learners Center, the Universal Design for Learning Center, of course, our Outreach Center for Deafness and Blindness. And we also support all of our missions through the Office of Policy, OcaliCon. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that. That's our annual conference. It's a big party, but it's also chock full of information. It's always in November. We look forward to seeing you guys there. and the lending library that Michelle mentioned, that you can actually, for free, have materials and resources mailed to you so you can try it out before you buy. Why am I not going in the right direction? So back to my personal favorite, the Family and Community Outreach Center, where I primarily work in it. We want to equip families to support the entire family. We want to connect these families to information and resources. We want to raise awareness in the community. And we do this through cross-center collaboration to enhance this family engagement. So in that mission, it really helps us to hear from you guys. I really want to encourage you to reach out. We're here to support you and support family engagement in general. I love to have a chat. We can do it over coffee. You can give me a phone call, because you guys are so helpful in letting us know what you're hearing, because you guys are actually boots on the ground, so to speak, and you can really help us help you, so to speak. So I look forward to hearing from you, and thank you. Let me stop the share.
Nice job, Gwen.
Thank you, Michelle.
Gwen, I'm curious, in the past, can you give a specific example of maybe an SST has reached out or you've reached out to them? Has that been for specific kind of direct support to a particular family, or do you also kind of advise and support SSTs to provide certain information on their websites, or
It's been a mishmash.
co-hosting events? Like what are some of the things maybe?
We offer a lot of different resources. I'm going to be real transparent. We want to bolster those relationships. We love SSTs. You guys are so valuable and you have so much information. So we offer webinars, regular webinars with information. I have responded, I don't know if she was a SST, but I've had certainly parent mentors reach out, and we've done presentations on a wide array of subjects. There really isn't a limit. My personal perspective, I am a mother. I have a son with autism. He's an adult now, but we have been supported in so many different ways, definitely with academics and therapies, but even extracurricular topics. I mean, for example, my son loved music, and that developed him in a lot of ways. So there really isn't a limit. We always have these resources available. Like I said, the webinars. Currently, we're working on updating the Ocali Parent Guide, and I have reached out to a couple of SSTs to maybe for input and editing, but we really want to bolster that. I have had conversations with SSTs. They've given me information, but I want to do more of that. So thank you for asking that question, but I really look forward to hearing from you. And we really want to address those pertinent issues, what families are struggling with now, what they need more information. And you SSTs, we want to help you. So please reach out. I'm going to put my email and my phone number in the chat, and I look forward to hearing from you. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you all. So hopefully you all are starting to get a sense for, at least you newer members get a sense for kind of the network of partners and resources that we have here for you to pursue whatever you're working on with the most kind of confidence and resources available. So hopefully you're taking some notes, writing down some email addresses that are standing out to you. But now we're going to pivot really quickly to talk a little bit about where we're headed this year as a network. And the way that we're actually going to do this is we're going to divide up into two lopsided groups. And the lopsided groups are such because we're dividing up between new members and kind of veteran members here. So if this is your first kind of network meeting or first one in a while or something, I'm about to open these breakout room, and Dr. Barbara Boone is going to go there with you and kind of give you a rundown of what this network is, what resources are available to you, tap into some of your background experience to see how we can make some connections, stuff like that. And so this breakout room, however, it just opened, so maybe some of you saw it pop up. You'll have to opt into it. So either click that button if you're a new person, or go down to the floating toolbar and go to breakout rooms, and you can opt in at any time there. So I'm gonna go ahead and invite kind of those new members to jump out now. You all.
Hey, Tom, how do I get there?
So
I can join a breakout room. There we go. I'm joining. Thanks.
Okay. So for the rest of us, we're going to just talk really quickly about or just remind us of kind of what the theory of change is for this group. Just ask if we skipped anything today, and then Whitney's going to kind of guide us through a vision activity. And try to stay on time. We're a little behind, so we might be a little rushed. So I'm going to blast through this first part. But at the very least, this vision activity will get you set on clarifying some values about your work this year, get you kind of dialed into how you might be approaching things. First thing I just wanted to remind you is about, maybe I'm not even sharing my screen, so I should do that. Sorry about that. There's a logic model, and a logic model is like a fancy research thing that just is a theory of change, right? Just organizes everything that we are doing here. And so just to make clear kind of what we're thinking about here is that through these meetings, and we're gonna not really do work groups this year, but through meetings, through outreach to you all, and through planning with the department, we hope to kind of achieve these things. And we measure these things in different ways across the year. It's a long list. But we report on these things back to the Department of Education, say, hey, we're either doing good, reaching these goals, or not on track, and we kind of need to refocus here. And so you see here that there's kind of two things about this. Number one, we want to develop your capacity and knowledge, but we also want to develop it in a way so that you have capacity and knowledge to share with your broader regional staffs, right? So everyone's doing something that involves families. We talked about it so much here. So who can tap in to you all to make sure that their work is really taking in that perspective? We're also really dedicated here to developing and sharing resources. We hope that for this, we hope that through this in your region, you see that you're kind of improving your capacity and knowledge. You can bring family engagement into those other initiatives we talked about. You know what's going on in the state, and that you can access kind of resources and other organizations. And I think we got off to a good start there. With that, though, I want to pause here just for a second and say, you've been here for an hour and 20 minutes. What have I missed? You guys have been here for a long time too. What have I missed? Is there anything, that should be thinking about that wasn't presented here? Is there anything in the logic model that's sticking out to you? Just pause for a moment.
I did have a question about the logic model.
Yeah.
So did you, and I didn't know if you mentioned this, but did you say that have you been attending the SST directors meetings, or is that a plan going forward?
No, so Barbara or I attend every month.
Okay.
To the extent possible. We might miss one or two in the course of a year, but we go to the large majority.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we like to try to stay in tune with the directors and the departments so that we're not saying anything that causes a panic in this room. Good question.
Beyond that, we have a lot of meetings with the state level folks. Seems like hardly a week goes by that we're not sort of meeting. So if you notice something that's out of step with what you're hearing, feel free to let us know, and we can always kind of make sure we're still in lockstep with them.
Cool.
And then Tom, just to verify, did you say we are or we are not having work groups this year?
So what we're doing this year is, instead of committing to like, oh, we're going to do this, every time, We actually thought or felt like, even though there were like not necessarily concrete products being generated last year, that people are having more intentional conversations kind of on these specific topic areas. And that seemed fruitful to people, and it seemed useful to people that they could kind of pivot between things and not necessarily feel like they're letting down like some project or something that they're working on. So we'll continue to have topical conversations and continue to identify resources that might be developed in some type of work group situation, but we're just not going to have like, you have to go to this thing for an hour every meeting, if that makes sense. And if that sounds dumb, let us know and we'll reconsider it. This was just from, data and stuff we took in last year.
Hi, Tom. This is Michelle Montel again. So, in the past, this is probably pre-pandemic times when we met more in person. We did do a little more of work group type thing. So, like for example, I don't know, like the transition. Someone from transition asked us to review like a literacy rubric for families.
Yeah.
Could that still be an option? Could we still utilize our colleagues to like peer review some resources?
Yeah, that is totally a great question, and that's totally fair game. Yeah, we'd be happy to do stuff like that and think that this would be an appropriate place. If you just kind of touch base with us ahead of time, we can fit in that into a meeting structure.
Awesome. Gwen and I might be interested in something along those lines in the future. Thanks, Tom.
Of course.
Sounds good.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's get down to a little bit of self-reflection work. Whitney is now going to kind of take over for us and lead us through at least the majority of an exercise here, where we think about ourselves and our connection to the work we're going to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much for that context, Tom. I looked at the slides in preparing for today and I noticed like how much work we're all doing, and a lot of it is like so big and so much in our heads. And so I was talking to Tom and wondering like, how do we ground ourselves and how do we really align all the things that we do this year to our values and our beliefs around family engagement? And you may remember that was the very first question we asked at the beginning of the session today. So we want to revisit that before we set you off at the end of this meeting to do all the work that you have to do. And really that begins with this activity of creating a personal vision statement. By the end of this will hopefully encapsulate our dedication to family and community engagement and help us in those times of turbulence throughout the school year to stay committed to our values and to feel encouraged in our efforts towards the meaningful outcomes. So to do that, you'll need a blank Word document, or you could use your phone if you have the Notes app, or you could use an old-fashioned paper and pencil. That will work too. And what we'll do to get started, has anyone read any Elena Aguilar? This is where the activity comes from in her book on the art of coaching. She has great text. Our whole team has read her PD book, and I've read some of her other work. But I really encourage you to check her out if you haven't already. In her book, she talks about our core values. They are our deeply held, enduring beliefs that guide our actions. And that might actually be traced back to our own families. So it's really relevant to our work with family engagement. Our values are what orient, drive, and anchor us. And when we act according to them, we can feel a sense of integrity in our work. We all know when we're out of alignment and how that feels. So we want this activity to be a source of strength for you and to work on identifying our core values to draft a vision. So on our first piece of paper or on your Word doc, you just want to create a list of numbers 1 through 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to show a screen of a list of possible values. I'm going to read these out loud, but if you read faster than me, that's fine too. And Tom, if you don't mind, I'll start and we can just take turns on the columns so that you can hear a different change of voice. So one of the values is acceptance, achievement, adventure, affection, altruism, ambition, appreciation, authenticity, authority, autonomy, balance, belonging, caring, celebration, challenge, choice, collaboration, commitment.
Community, communication, compassion, connection, contribution, cooperation, creativity, democracy, effectiveness, efficiency, equality, equity, excellence, excitement, expertise, fame, fairness, family.
Flexibility, focus, forgiveness, freedom, friendship, fun, goals, gratitude, growth, happiness, health, helping others, high expectations, honesty, hope, humility, humor, imagination.
Independence, influence, initiative, integrity, intuition, interdependence, joy, justice, kindness, knowledge, leadership, loyalty, making a difference, meaningful work, mindfulness, nature, nurture, order.
Passion, peace, perseverance, pleasure, positive attitude, pride, productivity, recognition, reflection, respect, responsibility, results, reputation, risk-taking, self-expression, self-respect, service, sharing.
Solitude, success, support, team, work, time, tolerance, togetherness, tradition, travel, trust, truth, unity, variety, and zest.
So hopefully from that list, you've been able to identify 10 values that are most important to you in partnering with families and communities. You can go to the next slide. We're going to get a picture of our values more into focus.
Does anyone
So-
need more time? Give me a,
Oh
okay.
yeah, go ahead. I know,
Give them
it's
like
hard.
one more
There's so
minute to
many.
write down their 10. They may have been listening and thinking.
Thank you, Meredith. Well, as you've written 10, I'm going to give you the really difficult task of crossing off 2 of them. Or first, I'll have you cross off 5. So actually, you're going to eliminate your list in half, which becomes really difficult because these were your favorites. So take a moment, cross off 5 words from your list, and maybe just signal a, I don't know, a thumbs up or something when you've crossed off 5. Now you get to eliminate 2 more. Essentially, you're going to be left with your top 3 core values.
I'm feeling like I don't want to cross off 2 more. Keep them all.
That's the
You might
hard
just have a
part.
very long vision statement then, Candace. I don't know if anyone's ever like growing up, we'd always get the magazines in the mail and taking the little quizzes, find your personality type, or this activity always makes me think of that. Does everyone have a top 3 core value? See a few heads nodding. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now with your top 3 core values, you're going to either open another document or just create like a, a hard indent on your Word document. And you're going to form a sentence that starts with my core values are. For example, my core values are growth, joy, and trust. And then in the next sentence, you'll write your definition of family or community engagement. This reminds me, I think it was Barry who talked about two-way communication in the beginning. So an example might be, my definition of family engagement is a two-way collaborative partnership. Just one sentence to sum up what your definition is. And then reflect on your why. In the third sentence, write down why you engage with communities and families. As we heard from Michelle and a few others today, really thinking outside of just work and what our position descriptions require us to do, but in service to your values, why is it that you care about engaging families? An example is I engage with families because I'll be more successful in my role, or I engage with families because I want children to have the best to learn and grow. Okay, we have 3 more steps until we get to our vision statement. I know I'm an effective leader when. So thinking about your role, and your values and your reason, how do you know when you're an effective leader in family or community engagement? This will be your fourth sentence. An example is, I know I'm effective in family engagement when I trust families and have earned their trust. Okay. And this one's kind of similar. You can incorporate it into a new sentence or think about it with the sentence you just wrote, that what you hope a result of your leadership will be. What do you want to be true? You can think about the school year when we gather again in April or May. As a result of your leadership, what do you hope for? Maybe you envision nurtured relationships, or you imagine schools in which partnerships have been formed, or maybe you picture the students themselves feeling supported in a learning environment. I really appreciated our point earlier around belonging. And as you finish that last sentence, you will land on a paragraph that articulates your vision. So when you have a paragraph in front of you, just give me a thumbs up, either virtually or with your thumb. So what we're going to do with these vision statement is we're going to share them with one another through what's called a chat waterfall. So if you have your paragraph typed, you're going to copy it. Don't add it to the chat yet. We're going to do it on the count of 3. If you wrote it with a pencil and paper, I probably shouldn't have told you to do that because you're going to have to type it really quickly. I didn't think about that one. And on the count of 3, what we'll do is we'll put them in the chat, and all at once you'll see just like a flow of vision statements. And as we see those trickle in, you will want to reply to the person whose statements appear just below yours so that everyone gets kind of a compliment or kudos on their vision statement. And then if anyone would like to share out, we'll give that option as well, especially for those I told you to use a pencil and pen if it's easier for you to speak out loud your vision statement. I completely understand. So on the count of 3, if you're ready, if you're not, your vision statement can trickle in. It can be an easy, slow waterfall. Doesn't have to be like Niagara here. So on the count of 3, vision statement in the chat. 1, 2, 3. And if someone has put a statement above yours, send them a message, tell them what wows you. And you can do more than one. You can respond more to one person. I love seeing how similar values we all have and kind of the perspectives we bring and the reasons why. I love, Meredith, what you said about schools being a foundation of a democratic society. I love how so many people brought up belonging and kindness. You know, that sometimes gets taken for granted as a soft quality, but just being kind to one another. I really appreciate who said that. Well, the breakout new members will be joining us. Does anyone have anything they want to share about their statement or about what they've seen in the chat? I really appreciate everyone's participation. This is the first time I've led this activity, so thanks for playing along.
I want you to know that I put in a lot of effort in that because I did it on my phone and then I had to email it to myself and then I couldn't open it and then I had to go find my Apple ID cloud password and that's how it turned out when I finally got the work. So I don't know if you can read it.
What you're making me think is I'm rethinking the directions of that because we have a lot of options. And you're right, like people are emailing or texting or transferring from paper to. I really appreciate that feedback. That's something I'm going to be doing differently in the future. I'm glad that your statement turned out as wonderful as it did.
Whitney, I think this is a great activity. I'd like about 30 minutes to read everybody's vision statement because they're really amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And thank you, Whitney, for leading this. And thank you for participating fully, because I know with how busy everyone is and how experienced you all are, something like clarifying your values can seem kind of, mundane or just, not necessarily the most exciting thing. But I will tell you that I do value clarification in my own life. It really just sets kind of your boundaries and your framework for how you're going to engage the world and engage others. So I really hope that you kind of keep these with you. Remember those values. Remember that that's what's not going to be compromised in your work. And that's what you're kind of dedicated to perpetuating. And we can do all of that while still advancing family school partnerships. So I just really appreciate this activity. And I really appreciate people taking it pretty seriously. They're really awesome mission statements, not missions, vision statements.
Vision.
Whoa, I'm just warming up too. Start of the school year for me, so as well. Seems like we're getting people back in the mix here, and I'm so happy to see that. We got just a couple more things to do to wrap up here. We'll get you on your way today. So one thing, Get through all that. Oops, too far. One thing I want to do just really quickly, open it up just for like a minute or two. We got 6 new people joining us this year. And I'm just wondering if for any veteran members or people who just have some wisdom to share, if they had any advice or just comments for new members as they endeavor on supporting family and community engagement with school leaders this year.
This is Tammy. For me, it's encouraging people to depend on all the resources that are in this group. You don't have to create everything from scratch. Everybody is very helpful about sharing things. All you've got to do is ask.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, one way that you can do that is by reaching out to me, letting know what's going on. And for those of you that were here last year, we had about at least 4 of the sessions were just led by other network members who just were sharing kind of their process for doing certain types of work based on, you know, what people were looking to learn. So feel free to reach out, ask questions, and we'll put you in contact with people. Any other advice from veteran members?
Tom, I think the best advice that I can give is just be willing to borrow and steal any ideas going on around the state, because this is a great way for us to find out about them, because I don't feel like we find out otherwise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love to hear that. And that is one of the core functions of this group, is so that we're not stuck in a silo. Just like we saw in that school district data, a lot of times at the SST, you might be the only FCE consultant or something, right? A lot of different places staff differently, so that might not be true for you. But how are you meeting other people who are kind of doing the specific thing that you're doing so you can practice that? Meredith threw in the chat there too that we get a ton of questions via email from SSTs, and it doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be, you know, necessarily pertaining to something we've talked about in this network. But if you think we can help, you can email any of us anytime, and we'll coordinate a response. Last things before we get out of here today. I, again, had that link up on the website, and it's still on the website. You can make an appointment with me on Microsoft bookings by following that link, or you can just email me to get an appointment. But one thing that I want to make sure we get to today is an evaluation to kind of kick this off, so we know kind of where we're coming from, where we're headed. This shouldn't take very long to complete, but we hope that you can complete this today. Hopefully right now in this time. We've got about 5 minutes left, so go ahead and jump in there. Thank you, Whitney, for dropping that. And I will make this big again for people interested in scanning that and doing it on their phone. Yeah, beyond that, the next meeting is October 17th. It is here in Columbus. We will give you ample warning to remind you of that ahead of time. And we'll try to send out an agenda early too, so you know what you're getting into. But that's the next meeting, October 17th. We're going to stick around here and hang out as people mosey on out of here. But please take that survey before you leave. And after that, hope you have a great day supporting families of students with disabilities to partner better with their schools. So thanks for being here today, and thanks for being so sincere and getting down to work.